Okay. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Sober Yoga Girl Podcast. I'm so excited to be sitting here with Kim Bellis this morning. And Kim and I were chatting before we started recording. I think we've had each other on Instagram for like maybe 5 years. And she has an amazing movement. The Sober is the New Cool movement. I'm always seeing your merchandise popping up everywhere. And so I'm just thrilled to have you here and to hear more about your story and how you got started doing the work you're doing. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here with you because I love everything you do. And, for me, I'm going to be 64 and seeing someone like you that's so young and is helping so many people. I just think it's so fantastic. Just honestly, I'm in awe. So with that,
Oh,
thank you for having me. And I'm so glad to be here. And, my story starts out quite differently than most. In 2013, my son was having grand mal seizures. He was an avid football player. He was 13 years old. He was like, we were out 5 nights a week exercising, and then the seizures started. And we thought at the beginning it was concussion related. We'll never really know why, but in fact, alcohol would never play a part in his life with his medication. And after a few months of him being put on medication, I said, Matt, you've got to get out. I was afraid to let him ride a bike. Imagine after playing football 5 nights a week, because I never knew when the next seizure would come. And then I thought, okay, we've got to start trying to live. And after a few times of him going out, he'd come home, he'd call me and say, Mom, come and get me. And the third time I just said, okay, Matthew, this is not working. Why are you not like, your friends are still your friends? You've grown up with them. And he said, Mom, I don't fit in. They drink beer. They smoke pot. I just don't fit in anymore. So I said, oh, come on. And as I said it, I said, you don't need alcohol and drugs to have fun. And I had the biggest glass of wine in my hand. And I thought, you're the biggest hypocrite on this planet. And with that said, I said, it was like a truck hit me. And I said, Matthew, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months. I'm going to prove to you that you do not need alcohol to have fun. So 3 months came and went. And then he said to me, see, Mom, now you can be like everybody else. And even as I say it now, 12 years later, I get shivers because I thought, wow, I said, okay, no. I'm going to stop for another 3 months. And it'll be 12 years, January 12th, that I've never touched another drop of alcohol again. And, I guess for me, I loved my son more than I loved myself. That's really the story. And as time went on, the first year, especially, I remember people saying, you never had a problem. What's wrong with you? Come in the corner, just have a drink with me. Nobody needs to know. And I thought, I would know. And I'd be lying to my son. And I thought, if this is what's happening to me every time I go somewhere, someone's saying to me, just have one, right? I thought, how is he going to manage? How is he going to be able to get through these social situations? And I guess also, in one way, I remember saying to him, Matthew, I'm sorry you got sick, but you gave me back my life. Because then I realized how much, in fact, I did drink. And whether you think it's a problem or not, to this day, I think if I've never had another one and I don't want to, and I'm afraid to still, because there must have been a problem, right? And with that, I just, put one foot in front of the other. But him being epileptic, the funny part of it was he never wanted to say he couldn't drink. And I just couldn't get it. I didn't understand why that was so hard for him to say that. And because he wanted to be like everyone else, he wanted to get crazy. He wanted to talk to the girl and whatever, or jump, do dumb boy things or girl things, whatever people do when they drink. And so I guess I started Sober is the New Cool with my sister. It was like done on a kitchen island. It was, we were at the beach and we had a napkin with our sandwiches and she started like making this image and she put Sober is the New Cool with a wave because of the beach. And she wanted it to go up and down. I turned it sideways. And so here we are, it's sideways. But this is never supposed to be anything other than for my son. I started a Facebook page, which I knew nothing about social media at 52. And it was really for him to be able to say, my mom doesn't drink, right? So it take off I guess, all that pressure on him. And I remember him bringing friends to the house, with the backpacks and how beer goes in the backpack. And he'd say, you guys can't bring that here because my mom stopped drinking for me. And when he said that, I thought, wow, okay, this is just, and one day just got into another day. And then we did this Facebook page. And I don't know, it was like, I don't even know really how I got to where I am, because this was really supposed to be for my son to realize that not drinking was okay. It was socially acceptable. He didn't need to explain why, or if he didn't choose to. And with that said, I started getting all these messages from the UK, from mothers, from young women, from young men. How did you do it? How did you just stop? And I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to answer this. And it was like, I guess, and 12 years ago, there was really nothing online except for Hello Sunday Morning out of the UK, out of Australia. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just answer what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And it just kept going. So the t-shirts were made more as and the hoodies, one, to give back to the sober and mental health community, because for me, I believe the two go hand in hand. And I guess my son was depressed not playing football and his life changing, and I was depressed for him, not being able to heal him as a mother, right? And so the only way I could support him was by not drinking. So that was my mission. And then somewhere along the line, it just sort of evolved into me helping other people around the world. And I felt like, how lucky am I that they trust me enough with their stories and their fears and their hopes and their dreams. And, I always wanted a daughter. I have two wonderful sons. And, I started meeting all these young women. And I guess because I'm not their mother, it's easier to take from a stranger. And, I could say just about anything. And they would say, well, we could argue maybe a bit about it, but there was not that full on problem, of, getting mad at one another, I guess. It was more like we could really communicate. And then I met this young woman called Natty, and she asked me to do a tattoo with her. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm 52, I'm more ribbons and bows. But I thought, if that was my son asking a stranger, even though we had been talking online for about a year at that point, something, how could I say no? So I didn't tell anybody because I was too afraid of what people would say. And I went and we did it on WhatsApp, her in London, England, and me in Montreal. We did our tattoos, matching tattoos at the same time. And I used to say to her every day, I love you, infinity plus one. She became the daughter I never had. And she loved pink hearts and I loved white hearts. So she came up with the design. We did it. And that was, I guess our bond. And unfortunately, this year, she lost her battle with mental health and addiction. And I thought, oh, I can't do this anymore. But so many young women spoke out and said, because of her, they were able to heal, because she was able to talk so openly and honestly about her mental health and her anxiety, her personality disorder, her not feeling worthy enough, and drinking, so, and the traumas she had. So I thought, what better way than to keep going on and honoring my sweet Natty every single day. And I know she somehow is in heaven watching me. And, I am where I am. I really believe because, there's something much bigger than me, because I just seem to be at the right place at the right time, helping people. And every time I seem to want to give up or stop, something else happens, and then I go one step again in front of each other, And, the t-shirts and the merchandise, people get them, but it's really more about, for them, if they're in an airport, if they have their hoodie on or a t-shirt, and they sit at the bar. Well, it's kind of like, okay, no, I don't drink, right? And sober's the new cool. And it just kind of stuck, it's kind of a cute name, and it makes people feel like, proud, and they should be, because I think it's the biggest accomplishment somebody can have is staying sober, because it is hard. It's very hard.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, wow. That story just gave me shivers and made me so emotional because I just feel like there's so like definitely from my childhood looking up to adults who drank and I remember adults saying like you don't need to drink or like whatever to me when I was a teenager, but their words were not matching their actions. And so for your story of like actually making a change in the way you were acting to embody this new lifestyle from your son, I just think it's like it's very moving.
Well, I think I was lucky with, I really feel I'm a lucky person, because without all that, I mean, I had an okay life. I wasn't a stranger
Yeah.
to alcohol problems, because we did have problems in our family with alcohol. So, but I think my life would have continued as it was, as kind of like a half living.
Mhm.
And since I stopped drinking, I do think, I've been able to learn to try and meditate and try, like everything's like uh, trying to move forward, as
Mhm.
opposed to being closed-minded and, like never having a tattoo. Like if you had told me 20 years ago I was going to have a tattoo, I would have said, never in a million years, or would I be meeting all these people around the world? Or, I got to walk in Fashion Week for an organization called We Will Break Free, which is they believe that everybody is equal. So they had old models like me, young ones, small, tall, all shapes, sizes, and, different sexualities. And it was just such a movement. And, trying to help them pass this law called Daniel's Law. I mean, these are things that never would have I ever thought I would be able to do in my life.
And it sounds to me like you just have a really genuine like desire to help people. That's what it sounds
Yes.
like. And you really get fulfillment from supporting people.
I do. And for me, I think, if I help somebody, then somebody else helps somebody else. It just kind of like goes that way. It's
Yeah.
people say, oh, that was so nice. What did you, how can I repay you? And I just, no, there's no repayment of anything. You just do something nice for somebody else. Because I
Mm.
think that's what the world needs right now, or always has, but now more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how has your son's journey been? Because that was like almost 12 years ago now. And obviously now he's like an adult. So how has is he still having these experiences around like peer pressure and drinking or what's his journey been like with sobriety?
Well, now I could say he'll be 7 years seizure free in January.
Oh,
So
that's
I'll be 12
amazing.
years sober free, and he'll be 7 years seizure free. It's been really hard. I have to say, it still is very hard. He just turned 27 in August. And I know for a lot of people that sounds like he's a young man, but with everything that he went through, it's been really hard for him. And, we'd go 2 years seizure free, and then whoops, something would happen again, and we'd have seizures. And, I think for him too, when he gets in these situations where there's people drinking, he'll stay for an hour or so, and I can see he just gets very uncomfortable with it. Like he still kind of has that I don't fit in. And this we did an international walk around the world where we had I started this during COVID, and this year we had 30 countries walking together. And this year was the first year he attended with me in Montreal with a sober is the new hoodie. And he was proud. Like it's the first time in all this time. And there were big moments because a lot of his friends have become sober now because of either cocaine addiction or gambling or whatever their addiction has been. And they've been able to talk to him just to discuss whether he's not like a therapist, but a friend, somebody you can confide in. But this September for International Recovery Day, I could see there was a shift where he thought, okay, I am part of something bigger and better, and I don't have to be shy. And his shoulders were like straight, and the TV station was there, and they were interviewing him, and he spoke so well. I was like so proud, and I thought, okay, and I think it's important because also I do deal with a lot of young women, but a lot of young men don't have enough places to share. And it's different somehow for them. It's, that there's there's nothing I can say. So that was a great moment. That was like, I think, a turning point for him. But it's been, we go to a wedding or whatever, it's still, and in the 12 years, I have to say, there were moments where in the ambulance we went because he did drink and he wanted to be like everyone else. It's
It's so hard. It's so difficult. And I think
and
you're
listen,
absolutely
for me too. I don't know about you, but there was a situation not too long ago, and I was getting those moments of not feeling good enough, and like I get these things of, oh my God, if only, and that moment was like, oops. If only I had that glass of wine, it would be so much easier to do this. And then I thought, wow. So I have to kind of spin myself like a top and leave where I am quickly because it does come and it's 12 years later. It kind of creeps up on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I absolutely experienced that this week. Like I've been 5.5 years sober, and I was having moments of like, oh, I really wish I could have a drink. And just for me, I think I thought it would help me have a deeper connection, and I think that is like, that's your point about like young men compared to young women. I think there's way more spaces for young women. Like even, these circles, it's more accepted for women to talk about their emotions and to have a space to support each other. Whereas for men, it's just not part of, it's not part of their socialization. And so as a result, they just, I think, struggle to support each other in this way.
And I remember hearing there's a young man, well, he's 43, so I call him young. And he was saying how men feel like, they carry the groceries, they have to carry the load all the time. And that's why they don't want to be put something on someone else. It's just the way society has made them be. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting way of, and, so then I talked to my son about it and I said, you don't have to be all things to all people. You just have to be good to you. So, but it's, for everyone, I guess it's, we're all learning as we go but nothing is easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy, I don't think.
So true. It's so true. So this walk that you did, I saw this clip. I think you were on CTV News, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think this is why I thought you were in Ontario, because we got on the call. I was
Okay.
like, "You're in Ontario, right?" Because I think I saw you on Ontario News Channel. But that's just amazing. That's an incredible movement, and so that's an annual walk
Yeah.
that you do in the fall. And what's that for?
Well, International Recovery Day is
Okay.
September 30th around the world. And believe it or not, in Canada, not too many places have that. So last year, the National Assembly decided to do a declaration in the name of Sober is the New Cool and make an International Recovery Day for us. So with that said, the MNA that did it, she said, okay, you've been doing these walks virtually because of COVID. We're going to do a walk in Montreal. I said, no, I can't. It's 2 weeks away. How am I going to so last year we did it. And so it was like a kind of like, oh my God, just kind of get it done. And this year we partnered with Portage Canada. And they're a great organization and some other people. And I had Monica, a girl that started off with a yoga and it was incredible. So we had 30 countries that we had people walking on that day at different times, obviously, except from Friday to the Monday, different time zones. And, I just reposted everyone walking. But I think the best part for me in Montreal was having these young women with their baby carriages coming and, really healing for future generations, and being so proud that, I mean, those four young mothers, I think their faces will stay in my heart forever, because I just thought, not if only I had done that then, but I always kind of had that little thing. Why didn't I stop sooner? So when I see young women or young men and being so proud and saying, I'm working on myself and I'm getting better, I it's like I just sit there and go, wow, this is like absolutely incredible that this movement is happening and it's getting bigger and bigger. So hopefully next year we'll have more than 30 countries, and continue it so that people know that really they're not alone. And this, so much is said about online media that it can be toxic, and yes, it can be, but there's a really great sober community. And really, I think, when you need someone there, it's, you can find that person. And if people just would connect every single day and just make sure that everybody's okay, I think that, a lot of people, because we don't know who we're empowering or inspiring, when we talk. And it's a wonderful thing for somebody to feel like they're heard and they are valued, because I think that's part of the problem I've heard from most people is they feel they're trying to fill a void of some kind, and that's what the alcohol or the drugs do. It's just the band-aid of the real problem that exists.
That's so true. So where do you visualize, where do you want sober is the new cool to go in the next few years? What do you envision?
Well, I started doing this once COVID was over. I started getting these little white hearts. This is a bigger version. Mm-hmm. But basically, I started sending them with merchandise and stuff. And then I decided, no, the White Heart Initiative has to be for anybody and everybody that needs to feel loved, seen, and heard. And for me, it's really more, it's not, because I think everyone can get sober, but 30 days can pass and then there could be some sort of slip or some hard time that comes. And I think what I'm really trying to make sure people know, it's about wellness. And sobriety is the first step, but there's so much more that goes with that. The healing of, whatever you're feeling, meditation, exercise. I don't think there's a one size fit all for sobriety. I think you can use as many or as little things that matter and that work. And then the process of healing begins, and then wellness. And to me, I kind of shifted the way I talk about it, because there is a stigma still around mental health and sobriety. So I'm trying now to say to people, we're all recovering from something. We're all a little bit broken inside, because we all have to work on something. We all have to figure out, because life is challenging. So with that said, this little white heart goes out. Some people will send a donation and say, can you send a white heart to someone somewhere? And I just send it out with a card, and they know, or if I'm at a conference, I put it in their hand and I say, you have a piece of my heart, I have a piece of yours, and you will never be alone. And I had one wonderful woman in the United States donate these wonderful blankets. I'll just show you. And she had a white heart engraved in the middle of it. So the first white blanket is going out to, Santa came to pick it up yesterday, actually, to a young person in the UK that we want her to be wrapped in wellness before Christmas, because she'll be having heart operations, and she's only 8 years old. And her mother is a wonderful, sober person, and we just want to support her and her daughter at this time. So Santa's decided she's the first one to get one of these blankets. And so basically it was like a little auction that I did, and people could bid on it. And I have to say, most people said, no, I don't want the blanket. I want it to go to somebody more deserving, which to me says it all about the little white heart, because that's really what it's about. And, so then in turn, I send everybody a little white heart in the mail anyways that donated, just because I think, the fact that it's so small, you can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your hand, You could put it in your wallet. And when you have that moment where you feel like you're alone, when you hold on to it, I've been told that it really gets people through these really, really hard moments in life. And I think that that's Sober's the New Cool is, the t-shirts and that stuff, whatever I make from that goes right back into, helping others. This Christmas with the little white hearts, we'll be giving out gift cards to Walmart and, maybe Tim Hortons or whatever, to different places where young people are in women's shelters that are in sobriety, to help them make their holiday a bit brighter. And in January, we'll do an event because, the food banks are empty in January. People seem to forget, everybody kind of hibernates and, the holidays are over. Everybody wants to but people still need to live and people still need to eat. So the Little White Heart will be doing more of those auctions in January to be able to help other people around the world that, need our help and our support. And I know that when that happens, they just turn around and do it for somebody else. So that, I think, is my biggest joy right now, is the fact that, Santa chose somebody, and that'll go out tomorrow morning by UPS because we have this terrible strike right now. So we have to just keep our Little White Hearts going around the world as much as we can.
That's so beautiful. Amazing. Okay, I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Which is, if you had any advice to someone who is just starting their alcohol-free journey, what advice would you give them?
I think the most important thing is to surround yourself with people that will support you and will be non-judgmental. And I really believe that it's beginning when people are getting sober, they need a community around them because it is hard. And, the zero judgment is the most important thing. I think they need somebody that kind of says, I think for me, when I would say me too, or somebody would say me too, everybody else's shoulders just kind of drop. Doesn't mean you had the exact same experience, but you understand. And when somebody understands what you're going through, you're more likely to share and get through those moments, because it's just moments. They're little tiny moments. And we just need to keep going and just think it's just for right now. Right now. Don't think about tomorrow, just right now. And you deserve a great life. You just do. Everybody does.
So beautiful. Oh, Kim, this was so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm going to stop the recording in a moment, and that way people can ask any questions they have for you off the recording. So thank you.